Hi, welcome to Pages with Sidra here. I bring you the novels behind your favorite manga, manhwa, and manhua, whether by translating or simply reading them for you. Let's dive into the stories that inspire the comics we all love. I got a cheat ability in a different world and become extraordinary even in the real world. Volume 13. Chapter 5. Another Yuya. My mind was not able to process the situation in front of me, because what was standing in front of me now was definitely me. It was also the me before the level up. For a moment, I thought it was a dream or some kind of misunderstanding, but then Kuro inside me shouted in surprise. Hey, what's this situation? You look different, but I can see it. It's you. No, why is there another you? Why do you look different? Kuro also did not seem to understand the situation and was puzzled. When we were at such a loss for words, the me in front of me opened his mouth. I don't know why you look like that, but you are me, right? If you say it like that, it's me. Why is there another me? But the me in front of me does not answer my question. And then, sorry. Wah. The next moment, I thought he had disappeared instantly, and then he suddenly slipped into my bosom, and then he thrust his hand out like he was going to pierce my heart. And when I looked closely, I saw a purple aura on his hand. That's spiritual power. The power the me was using had to be spiritual power. Certainly, I am now able to use spiritual power, but unlike the me in front of me, I didn't even know that spiritual power existed before I leveled up, so if the person in front of me was a me before the level up, there was no way he could use spiritual power. I was surprised, and in contrast, he was also looking at me with wide eyes. Why you didn't use your spiritual power, yet you were able to avoid me. Indeed, I'm not using my powers right now, but if he knows who I am now, he must also know that my physical abilities have improved as I leveled up in the other world. But from the looks of it, he doesn't seem to know that. What in the world is this me in front of me? Wait a minute. Who in the world are you? Why are you attacking me? Exclamation. However, he did not seem to be willing to discuss the matter and resumed his attack. He spread out his hands, and countless purple spheres floated between them. Spiritual ball. Ka. The attack was none other than the technique Kuya-sen used against monsters in the underworld. But I don't know how to use this technique. In other words, he is more skilled than I am in the handling of spiritual power. The masses of spiritual power poured toward me like machine guns, but I kept dodging them by activating my magic armor and Holy King authority. What's with that power? As I thought, you'll be the biggest obstacle to me. Obstacle. Seeing my power, he widened his eyes, but he soon increased the number of his attacks. Not only did he increase his spiritual power, but he also used a lot of other spiritual power techniques. Spiritual chain. Wah. A purple chain suddenly erupted from under my feet and wrapped around my arms and legs, pinning me tightly in place. I tried to escape, but it didn't budge. It's no use. It is a chain made of spiritual power. No ordinary force can break it. In other words, this chain is like a kind of sorcery and cannot be destroyed without using spiritual power. If so, then how? What? You can also use spiritual power? The me in front of me was amazed that I was able to destroy the chain by using my spiritual power, probably because I had been fighting with powers other than spiritual power until now. And then he charged straight at me. For now, I'll just suppress you and let us talk. If that's the case, the gate of the underworld. I closed the distance in a split second, but he gathered up the spiritual power in his hands and clapped his hands together. Then, the shockwave of the spiritual power spread out at once with a sound and attacked me. I couldn't help but move away from him, but that was not the end of his attack. When he spread his hands again, a deep vortex of darkness appeared in between them. And when he slammed the vortex to the ground, a dreadful, rusty gate appeared from the ground, emanating a terrifying atmosphere. When the gate quietly opened, a large number of demons flooded out from within. Wah! I have to rule this world. What? I was surprised by his unexpected words, but the demons that emerged from the gate attacked me without regard. I'm finding it more and more necessary to listen to what you have to say. I took out my Amma sword and held it quietly. What in the world is that weapon and where did you just take it out from? He was surprised, but I used the Holy King authority, the holy evil creation, magic armor, and my spiritual power to my fullest and slayed the demons one after the other. The reason I refrained from using divine authority was because I didn't know what kind of techniques he still had hidden, so I decided to save it as a trump card. Utilizing all of my other powers, I approached the gate and... How? What? I smashed the gate with a single slash. The slashed gate crumbled away like sand and disappeared. When the gate disappeared, no more demons appeared. Now we can talk. I told him this with caution, but he didn't seem to have given up yet. Not yet, I'm not going to give up, he exclaimed and put his hand on his chest. Then, spirit binding released. Wah! Suddenly, a strange aura rose from his body. NYX translations. The shimmering aura appeared to be white at first glance, but upon closer inspection, it seemed to be a prism shimmering with various lights. And I recognized that aura. That power is mystical power? Yes, it was the power that Xenovisan and Archersan, who had no spiritual power, used when they fought against monsters in the underworld. Above all, that power is... Wait, as I recall, mystical power can only be used by the dead. That's right. I'm already dead. Exclamation. I was absolutely stunned by his words. Dead? Then, who the hell is the one in front of me now? Then, he, who had remained silent until then, began to speak quietly. I came from a so-called parallel world that is different from this world. A parallel world? Yes. There I was living peacefully without any problems until they came. His voice was filled with anger, sadness, and frustration. He appeared one day out of the blue, ruling and destroying one world after another, with the goal of dominating every dimension. And then our world was spotted by him and destroyed. No way. But he resurrected me and gave me one condition. That condition was to take control of another world where the other me existed and give it to him. If I could do that, he said, he would restore my world to the way it was. Does the guy who destroyed his world have the power to bring dead people back to life or resurrect the world he destroyed? Who in the world is he? He turned a determined gaze toward me, despite my surprise. Therefore, I'm here. Even if the people of this world hate me, I will fight to get back the people I care about in my world. He said that he came into this world in order to get back the people he cared about. What? Sure, for you, this world may be nothing more than a place to resurrect your world. But for me, it's a world that's more important than anything else. So, I once again held up the Omnisword and thrust it at him. I will not give up this world. I know that. I'm the enemy of this world, that's why I'm going to take back my world. I will protect this world. I will defeat you. And at the same time, we collide. Despite using all of my power except for my divine authority, he could match me in physical ability, and on top of that, he was using more and more techniques that I had never seen before. But it was the same for him. Ha. Ka. Even though I'm strengthening it with my spiritual and mystical power. Spiritual mystical break. At that moment, he gathered spiritual power in his right hand and mystical power in his left hand, mixed them together, and released a mass of pure energy toward me. I managed to dodge the attack, but taking advantage of the opportunity, he activated another sorcery. Absolute binding. Ugh. It was the same chain that he had used earlier, and I thought I had dodged it just in time, but my foot was caught in the chain. Moreover, unlike before, the chain was kneaded with not only spiritual but also mystical power, making it even sturdier and unable to be broken by my spiritual power alone. He was so much better than me when it came to handling spiritual power. If I had only a moment's chance, I could. Then, he unleashed a mass of spiritual and mystical power once again. In the midst of all this, I calmly looked at it and readied my sword. Compared to the first time Zenovisan trained me, my sword skills had improved far more. That's why. How? I slashed through the spiritual mystical break and destroyed the restraint at the same time. As it was, I used Master Yuzaki's skill, 3 divine steps, to close the distance and slipped into his chest. Oh no. Oh. I put all my strength into it and slammed my fist into his stomach. He seemed to quickly strengthen his abdomen with his spiritual and mystical powers, but he was unable to withstand my full force and was blown away. Again, no way. It's my win. When I thrust my sword at him and declared that, he bit his lip in frustration and fell to the ground. Hey. Haha, after all, just like that time I remained weak and couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't say anything as I looked at him, who sadly told me so. I knew. I was wrong and there was no way I could control the people living in this world and offer them up to him. I was doing the same thing as he was, I knew it. Still, I wanted to reclaim my world once again. He was desperately trying to hold back his tears. I guess he was also living a peaceful life like me until this him appeared. Unlike me, he is skilled in the handling of spiritual power and may have been able to use spiritual power from birth. It is even possible that he was born in a parallel world full of sorcery users, just like Kuya-san. He staggered to his feet and bowed his head to me. I'm sorry I got you involved in my selfishness. More importantly, what are you going to do now? It seemed that he had been resurrected by someone else, and the reason for this was that someone wanted him to rule this world. But he was defeated by me, and he was unable to fulfill that condition. I think you know this, but if I fail, I will be erased again. My life is only in his hands. This life will soon be over. This was the moment when I was searching for the words to say to him. You will not be alone, though. Exclamation. Why are you here? Without any sound or sign, a man suddenly appeared in front of us. The man was dressed in a suit and a plain mask, and above all, he was completely unrecognizable. That's why I couldn't take any position. Goodbye. The man's piercing hand was thrust out toward me, who was defenseless. Just when that hand was about to touch me. GGH. The other me protected me and was pierced in the chest by that man. The man looked at him for a moment, and his eyes widened. You're stubborn, aren't you? Get away from here. Whoops. I immediately drew my Amma sword and slashed at the man, but he lightly avoided the attack. Well, you have a rather troublesome weapon. The man then stares at the weapon in my hand and turns away. I've confirmed its existence, at any rate. I think it's time for me to leave. Wait. In order not to let him escape, I activated my trump card, the Divine Authority, and closed the distance between me and the man in an instant, but the next target is this world. The man told me that much and vanished at a speed faster than the Divine Authority, again without any sound or sign of his presence. I approached the other me in a hurry, keeping a wary eye on the surroundings. Hey, hang in there. Alright, I have the complete recovery grass juice. I took out the juice and tried to give it to him, but he stopped me with a trembling hand. I can't be saved anymore. Why the hell did you say that? I'm already dead, that's why. As he said, his body was already dead, and when I looked closely, I saw that there was no blood flowing. And also, his body was gradually beginning to disappear as particles. I was stunned, but he turned a powerful gaze on me. Hear me out. That thing is our enemy. Next time, he'll come after this world, but don't let him do what he wants again. He laughed softly. Don't worry, I'm stronger than you, I'll protect everyone. After saying this at the end, his body had all turned into particles and wrapped around my body, and then rose up into the sky and disappeared. Okay, now here's the epilogue of this volume. I decided to include it here because making a separate video for the epilogue felt unnecessary. Let's wrap up the story together. I'm back. It was a mysterious space. Numerous galaxies drifted through space, and the activities of people from various worlds continued to flow at the feet as if they were video images. In the center of the space, there was an oddly shaped being. Jurugajuru. First of all, can it be described as a body? The spherical object was entangled with numerous tentacle-like tubes that pulsate like blood vessels. Suddenly, a portion of the tubes extended into a galaxy drifting in space and pierced it, and then, as if sucked up with a straw, the galaxy disappeared. The sucked-in galaxy is absorbed directly into the sphere through the tube of the oddly shaped being. And then, it was delicious. Suddenly, the strange creature spoke a human language. Not paying any attention to this eerie situation, the masked man continued to speak. That's very good to hear. So, what happened? The man replied to the strange creature's question. Well, it was a failure. That spiritual or mystical power is a power that even I could not obtain. So I had high hopes for it, but that's all it was. Yes, I thought there was no need to use him as a pawn. Well, that's all right. What about that world? About that, it's a little strange there, too. Strange. Yes. The pawn fought against another him in another parallel world, but that being was more powerful than the pawn, and on top of that, he was using an unknown power. Who? The strange creature listened to the man's story with interest. Then, suddenly, the tentacles and tubes that were entangled around the sphere began to converge and were sucked into the sphere more and more. Then the sphere shrank more and more as if compressed and eventually became as small as the size of the masked man in front of it. From there, the sphere transformed its shape and eventually changed into a humanoid form. Gradually, the sphere transformed into a head, face, body, arms, and legs, and finally into a bald-headed, muscular man. The unknown power, this is also a world worth taking from. I hope I can take it away next time. Thus, an unknown threat crept into the world of Yuya and the others from the shadows. While Yuya was fighting his other self, Mako was cleaning the storage room of his house. This is tremendous, isn't it? From the perspective of Mako, who had originally been sealed in the underworld for a long time and who, because of her origins, had acquired a great deal of knowledge from the great sinners, the storage room in Yuya's house was filled with extraordinary items. What is this space? After all, even from your point of view, it looks amazing. Oh, Kuya-sama. While Mako was overwhelmed by the presence emanating from the storage room, Kuya also came to the storage room to see what was happening. I was originally resurrected from a scroll on a shelf in this room. I thought I was going to faint when I resurrected. To that extent? That's right. Just as I woke up, I was suddenly exposed to an immense rush of power that I had no idea about. It would be impossible not to be surprised. I see I can also understand things related to spiritual or mystical power. After saying this, Mako turned her gaze toward a coffin that looked as if a pharaoh was sleeping inside. That's got contents in it, doesn't it? There must be something in it. It is certainly a man of tremendous mystical power. From the two people who could sense mystical power, the mystical power emanating from the coffin was extraordinary. However, the frightening thing is that even the mystical power that can be felt from that coffin is only a small part of the power that swirls around this room. What in the world is in there, including that coffin, and if you carelessly touch it, you will not only end up with serious injuries. Why, you're right. There are many forces that we don't understand. I really wanted to clean it, but I think it's better not to touch it. That would be the wisest thing to do. The two of them then left the storage room. At that moment, however, they did not notice that the coffin had moved slightly. As they exited the room, Mako suddenly remembered something. By the way, the things in that room were collected by Master's grandfather, weren't they? That's what I heard. Master too, but don't you feel anything when you look at that room? Anyone with a slight amount of magical or spiritual power would be terrified by the torrent of power swirling around the storage room, and even those without any power would be able to sense some discomfort. But Yuye and Yuanasuk, who built the room, did not seem bothered by it at all. I don't know about Yuya, but I know Yuanasuk when I actually met him in the underworld. He is terribly dull. Eh? The unexpected words startled Mako. Then Kua continued as if he, too, was taken aback. I was surprised too, but I can only say that it is true. After all, Yuanasuk has no power at all. He had a little mystical power when he died, but like the rest of the dead, he had only gained it from being dead. He is an ordinary being in every aspect that is Yuanasuk. Ha. However, that normality is extraordinary. Where others could sense the strangeness of that room, he could not sense any of it. That's why I said he was terribly dull. I see. In any case, thanks to his dullness, my scroll was placed in that room, and in a roundabout way, you, Mako, too was saved. You never know what life has to offer. Mako could only nod her head in response to Kuya as he concluded so sincerely. Meanwhile, at the same time, in another world, the time is here. A few days have passed since the Heavenly Sacred Festival, and several new holy has joined the ranks of Katana Saint, Shu. He finally decided that there was no point in waiting any longer and began to make his move. Now, let's get started. The management of humanity. And again, a sense of disquiet began to emerge in the other world as well. Year of Rabbit Commemorative Special Edition, Uzaga's Daily Life. Ha! The Inceral Forest is one of several danger zones in the world. The hot and humid climate in this region is relentless in its deprivation of the physical strength of the creatures that visit it. In such a harsh region, Uzagi was silently unleashing his kicks and kicking away the approaching monsters. Pekei. How naive. A powerful kick, unimaginable from his small stature, exploded into the belly of a giant mantis-shaped monster killer mantis that was well over 5 meters long. The killer mantis that received Uzagi's kick exploded around its belly. However, this killer mantis, which operated in packs, wasn't just accepting being beaten up unilaterally. Even after their comrades were killed, the other individuals in the pack began to move to finish off Uzagi cold-bloodedly. The scythe that was swung down at Uzagi easily slashed through the surrounding trees as it moved forward. It's got to be that way. At first glance, Uzagi, who was smiling with a ferocious smile, was not unlike a herbivore in this seemingly hopeless situation as he intercepted all the incoming scythes with a kick. Pei. Kisha. Playtime is over. Uzagi kicked through the ventral side of the blade to avoid being cut by the scythe. While the killer mantis was exposed to the force of the kick, Uzagi charged toward one of the nearby killer mantis. He then delivered a powerful step kick to the belly of one of them as if using it as a foothold. With the momentum of the step through the belly, Uzagi moved to the belly of another killer mantis and stepped and kicked it again in the same manner. As a result of such attacks in tremendous succession, all the killer mantis exploded and died. Uzagi landed on the ground, avoiding touching the bodily fluids splattered around him, and then he took a breath. Phew, I'm getting used to it a lot now. There were reasons why Uzagi came to this dangerous place and fought in this way. One of them was to train to fight using only basic techniques rather than using the skills of a holy. This was because he realized that he should train in more basic skills rather than skills after witnessing Yuya's battle under the guidance of Xenovis in the past world. Nevertheless, compared to other holy, Uzagi, who had originally honed his basic techniques more than his skills, had mastered this fusion of techniques and skills in combat at a relatively early stage. Thus, there was an aspect of training to improve combat skills, but the most important reason was something else. That is, now is there a king carrot in the depths of this forest? Yes, the reason Uzagi visited this place today was in search of the king carrot, a carrot that can only be found here in the Inceral Forest. I've heard that it's heavenly delicious. It's an interesting story indeed. Yuzagi muttered to himself and unconsciously wiped away the drool that was about to drip down his face. That's fast. More importantly, like the monster I referred to earlier, it would be moderately troublesome if more were to attack me at this rate. Let's skip ahead a bit here. When he said that, Yuzagi put a lot of strength into his legs. The next moment, he released the power that he had been holding back and leaped into the sky at once. I will go all the way deep into the forest in a single breath. Yuzagi jumped into the air and reached a position where he could look down on the forest. There, he shifted his stance, compressed the air, and kicked through it with all his might. Using the air as a foothold, Yuzaki, pushing forward with tremendous momentum, flew toward the depths of the forest. On the way, some forest monsters noticed Yuzagi flying in the sky but were unable to even react because of his speed. Now, where is it? Looking for the desired carrot, Yuzagi immediately turned on the spot due to a sudden chill he felt. At that moment, something passed by the position where he had just tried to pass with great force. What is it? Turning his eyes toward the object with alarm, he saw, to his surprise, that it was a vine growing out of the forest. Who? First was an insect, now a plant. Having had his momentum killed, Yuzagi spontaneously fell down. Perhaps seeing him as an easy target, sharp vines attacked him from the forest one after the other. No easy task, I see. Yuzagi repelled the vines by using them as footholds and kicking at them. It's hard. However, even under the kick of Yuzagi, who until now had slaughtered monsters with a single blow, the vines simply bounced back without exploding. Slightly surprised by this, Yuzagi smiled. Interesting, how about this? The next moment, Yuzagi's body was covered with a thin aura of magic power. It's not as evenly distributed as Yuuya's. It was a magic armor that he was able to use after learning magic from Yuuya. Although he was not very satisfied with the results, he still succeeded in strengthening his body with magic power. Now, can you withstand even this? As Yuzagi stepped forward forcefully, the vines he was using as a foothold were snapped off with a single blow. With such forceful steps, Yuzagi pushed forward, following the vines, toward the culprit who had attacked him. Then, this guy, huh? What was there was a sphere of intricately intertwined vines. The sphere, which looked as if it was protecting something, made countless vines appear and attack Yuzagi again. Yuzagi's smile deepened as he dodged them all with aplomb. This monster might have been difficult for me in the old days. As Yuzagi said, this tree vine is a kind of monster, and its rank is classified as SS rank. Without the power of the holy, it would have been a difficult existence to deal with. However, the current Yuzagi does not use the power of the holy and only uses his polished technique and magic power to fight with it. Unfortunately, I don't intend to waste my time here. Let's finish this. As soon as he said that, Yuzagi disappeared and moved right in front of the vine sphere. This was a gesture using the divine authority he had acquired in the heavenly realm. The current Yuzagi had become stronger by using a new power in addition to the one he had previously possessed. How? Having thus moved in an instant, Yuzagi then kicked into the sphere with great vigor. At that moment, the vines that had formed the sphere shredded and burst one after another. And then, when all the vines were shredded, a carrot came out from inside. Yuzaki was surprised at the unexpected situation, but soon came to terms with it. I see, this was the king carrot, huh? With the protection of the vines gone, Yuzaki was left with a carrot that kept floating in midair. After landing lightly, Yuzaki put the carrot in his mouth. This is delicious. It's worth all the trouble I went through to get here. Yuzaki ate the carrot with satisfaction, as it tasted just as he had heard in the rumors. When he finished eating all of it, he looked up at the sky. This is not the end. There are many other carrots that I don't know about, such as the sky carrot and the hell carrot. Yuzagi was thinking about carrots he hadn't seen yet. The daily life of Yuzaki, which even Yuya and Iris, who is also a holy, do not know, is a gourmet one. Thank you for watching Pages with Sidra. I hope you enjoyed this chapter of I got a cheat ability in a different world and became extraordinary even in the real world. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more volumes and novels. Let's keep exploring these amazing stories together. See you in the next one.